They said success changes people. But no one warned them what happens when success is built on a lie. Kang Dojin never walked into a room. He invaded it. The elevator doors slid open on the 27th floor of Hanseong Holdings, and conversations died instantly. Employees straightened their backs, eyes glued to screens that suddenly mattered more than breathing. Dojin's footsteps were precise. Measured. Cold. At 34, he was the youngest CEO the company had ever known, sharp jaw, tailored suits, eyes that didn't blink unless he decided to. He never greeted. Never smiled. Never thanked. Mistakes were not corrected. They were punished. Who approved this forecast? Dojin asked, dropping a folder onto the conference table. No one answered. His gaze settled on a junior analyst. Speak. The analyst swallowed. I did, sir. Dojin leaned forward slowly. Then explain why a middle schooler could find the error. The room tightened. The analyst's ears burned. By lunchtime, Dojin continued, calm as glass, your desk will be empty. No shouting. No drama. Just a verdict. This was how he ruled, clean, brutal, efficient. To Dojin, employees were replaceable parts. Emotion was weakness. Mercy was wasted time. What no one knew was that arrogance had been carefully taught. Everyone feared him, except one woman who never looked up. Story. Her name was Seo Yerin. She worked in the strategy department, 3 rows from the emergency exit, where sunlight barely reached. She wasn't bold. She wasn't loud. But she was honest. When Dojin tore apart her department's proposal during a briefing, no one expected her to speak. This projection is accurate, Yerin said quietly. The room froze. Dojin turned slowly. You're saying I'm wrong? I'm saying the market behavior supports it, she replied, eyes steady. Silence swallowed the room. People waited for her career to end. Instead, Dojin stared at her, really stared, for the first time. Not because she challenged him. But because she didn't tremble. Stay after, he said flatly. After the meeting, Yerin stood alone in the conference room, heart pounding but posture straight. You enjoy standing out? Dojin asked. No, she said. I enjoy being correct. Something about her unsettled him. She didn't flatter. She didn't fear. She didn't chase approval. Over the weeks, Dojin noticed her everywhere, quietly fixing problems before they exploded, staying late without complaint, refusing credit. And slowly, dangerously, his attention softened. The strongest walls don't fall loudly. They crack in silence. Dojin began staying late. Not to work, but to watch. He noticed how Yerin reheated convenience store meals at 9 p.m. How she rubbed her wrist when stressed. How she left sticky notes reminding herself to breathe. One night, the office emptied except them. You don't need to stay, he said without looking up. I know, she replied. I want to. That word, want, stuck with him. They began talking. About work at first. Then books. Then nothing important at all. She laughed softly. He listened. For the first time, Dojin felt something unfamiliar, peace. Not dominance. Not control. Just quiet. He didn't know how to name it. The truth doesn't knock when you're comfortable. It waits. Dojin believed one story his entire life. That he was chosen. Saved. Raised by Chairman Kang after being rescued from poverty as a child. That gratitude justified everything. But one afternoon, an old man appeared at reception, trembling hands, worn jacket, eyes filled with fear. I'm here for Kang Dojin, the man said. Security hesitated. Dojin agreed to see him. The man bowed deeply. I'm your father, he whispered. And in that moment, everything Dojin stood on began to shake. Some truths don't beg to be believed. They bleed until you listen. The door closed. Dojin didn't invite the old man to sit, yet the man lowered himself into the chair anyway, hands shaking as though holding something fragile, hope. "My name is Park Min-soo," the man said. "I worked at a textile factory in Incheon. Your mother died when you were 5. Dojin stood by the window, back turned. "You expect me to believe this?" he asked. Min-soo reached into his jacket and placed a thin folder on the table. Inside were hospital records. A birth certificate, a faded photograph of a small boy gripping a man's finger. Dojin's finger hovered above the page. The date matched. His breath tightened, not in fear, but rage. "You sold me?" Dojin asked quietly. "No," Min-soo whispered. "I lost you." The words didn't soften him. They shattered him. He didn't steal a child. He purchased loyalty. Chairman Kang Seong-go didn't deny it. "I did what was necessary," he said calmly, pouring tea. "You were wasted potential." Dojin stared at the man who raised him. "You bribed the hospital. I saved you. You erased my family. You gained power." The room filled with silence thick enough to choke on. "You taught me arrogance," Dojin said. "You taught me people are disposable." Chairman Kong smiled faintly. "Then you learned well." That night, Dojin couldn't sleep. For the first time, success tasted bitter. Power means nothing when your identity collapses. Dojin arrived at work late. He snapped at staff. Missed meetings. Fired someone unjustly, then froze when he saw fear in their eyes. That fear looked familiar. It looked like his own childhood. Yaren noticed. "You're different," she said gently in the stairwell. "Different how?" "Like you're running from something." For the first time, Dojin wanted to tell someone the truth. But arrogance doesn't confess. It isolates. She loved the man he was pretending to be. Dojin and Yaren began dating quietly. Late dinners. Silent walks. No labels. Yaren didn't ask about his past. She sensed it was heavy. "You don't treat people kindly," she told him once. "But you're not cruel inside." That sentence followed him everywhere. He wanted to be better, for her. But truth delayed becomes betrayal. The truth doesn't whisper forever. An internal audit surfaced old adoption files. Yaren stumbled upon them accidentally. Chairman Kang's name. Payments. Cover-ups. Her hands trembled. She confronted Dojin. "You knew," she said. He didn't answer. Silence answered for him. She didn't leave because he lied. She left because he never chose honesty. "You had power," Yaren said, tears steady. "And you used it to stay silent." "I was scared," Dojin whispered. She nodded. "So was I. Every day. Under you." She left without shouting. Without drama. That hurt more than anger. Power protects you, until the room decides you're alone. The office no longer froze when Kang Dojin walked in. It hardened. People still bowed. Still greeted him. But the air had changed. The silence wasn't fear anymore, it was distance. He felt it in the way conversations resumed too quickly behind his back. In the way assistants avoided eye contact. In the way HR delayed responding to his emails. Rumors moved faster than elevators. "Did you hear he's not really Kong blood? They say the chairman bought him. So that's why he's so heartless." Dojin locked himself in his office and stared at the city below. For years, this height had made him feel untouchable. Now it made him dizzy. The people who applauded your rise will schedule your fall. The emergency board meeting lasted 12 minutes. Chairman Kong sat at the head, calm as always. "We need stability," he said. "The market is sensitive." Dojin finally understood. He wasn't a son. He was insurance. "You're stepping down temporarily," the chairman continued. "For the company's image. Temporary meant disposable. Dojin didn't argue. Because deep down, he knew this was payment due. The people who applauded your rise will schedule your fall. The emergency board meeting lasted 12 minutes. Chairman Kong sat at the head, calm as always. We need stability, he said. The market is sensitive. Dojin finally understood. He wasn't a son. He was insurance. You're stepping down temporarily, the chairman continued. For the company's image. Temporary meant disposable. Dojin didn't argue. Because deep down, he knew this was payment due. Blood doesn't demand love. Presence does. Park Minsu waited at a small restaurant. Dojin arrived late. They ate in silence. I don't want money, Minsu said softly. I just wanted you to know. Dojin nodded. But he couldn't say father. Some distances are learned too early. Healing doesn't wait for apologies. Dojin saw Yeren again, by accident. She was laughing. Not softly. Not cautiously. Freely. With someone else. She didn't see him. And that hurt more than rejection ever could. When power leaves, silence becomes honest. The apartment was too quiet. No assistant calling his schedule. No security waiting outside. No emails demanding approval. Just Kong Dojin and the sound of his own breathing. He stood in the middle of the living room, still wearing his suit, unsure where to place his briefcase, because there was no desk anymore. He sat on the floor. Not because he was tired. Because the furniture felt too high for who he had become. For the first time in his life, there was no role to play. Some apologies are written 100 times and never delivered. Dojin opened his phone. Typed Yeren's name. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted. Every version sounded selfish. I'm sorry felt late. I changed felt unproven. I miss you felt unfair. He locked the phone and stared at the ceiling. For once, restraint wasn't power. It was respect. Humility begins when effort no longer guarantees recognition. Dojin applied for consulting work under a different name. No one replied. Finally, a small logistics firm called him in. The interview lasted 10 minutes. You're overqualified, the manager said. Dojin bowed anyway. I'm willing to learn. The words felt strange. But necessary. The man he ignored stayed. Park Minsu visited with groceries. You don't have to, Dojin said. Minsu smiled. I want to. They cooked together. Burned the soup. Laughed awkwardly. It wasn't love yet. But it was presence. Truth doesn't need to be witnessed to matter. Dojin wrote letters. To former employees. To people he hurt. No signature. No expectation. Just acknowledgement. Each letter felt like lifting weight from his chest. Love doesn't return on demand. Dojin saw Yeren again. This time, he didn't approach. He watched her cross the street, confident, unafraid. He smiled. And let her go. The last truth isn't spoken to win. It's spoken to release. The room was smaller than any boardroom Kong Dojin had ever entered. No glass walls. No nameplates. No authority waiting to be recognized. Just a round table, 6 former employees, and a man without a title. Dojin bowed deeply. I won't defend myself, he said. I only want to acknowledge what I did. No excuses. No explanations. Only listening. One woman spoke about panic attacks. A man spoke about quitting his dream job. Another spoke about silence, the kind that follows humiliation. Dojin nodded. Absorbed every word. When the meeting ended, no one applauded. But no one walked out angry. That was enough. Control fails when the truth no longer fears consequences. Chairman Kong called him one last time. You're ruining the company's image, he said sharply. No, Dojin replied. I'm returning it. He submitted evidence. The adoption manipulation. The internal cover-ups. The media exploded. Chairman Kong resigned within days. Power didn't fall loudly. It emptied. Identity isn't inherited. It's claimed. Dojin changed his name legally. Not to erase the past, but to stop hiding behind it. He kept working quietly. No spotlight. Just effort. The purest love asks nothing in return. Months later, Yaren found a letter. No sender. Just words. I hope you're happy. Truly. I learned because of you. She read it twice. And smiled, softly. She didn't come back. But she forgave. That mattered. Family is who stays when pride leaves. Dojin ate dinner with Park Min-soo every Sunday. They spoke about small things. Weather. Food. Time. Love didn't arrive dramatically. It settled. He lost a true love. But he found truth. Dojin stood at a crosswalk. The city moved. No one recognized him. And for the first time, he felt free.